This is a leek, and it is an interesting vegetable to add to your repertoire.
Yeah, don't let the leek intimidate you. Use a smaller knife rather than a large one. And the first thing I do is I begin cutting straight down the leek on one side. What you can do before you do that is cut off the bottom. Makes it easier. And just discard this part. And then continue cutting down the sides and unraveling each one, kind of like a little scroll. And then what I do is I find the joining area where the leaf is, do it again, and peel it off. Do it again, and peel it off. And see, as you work your way to the center, you're going to find that there's still some dirt in there. And you'll want to clean that off, of course. So with that, just continue until you get down to the little itty-bitty part. Some of it's already undone, as you can see. Get down to the itty-bitty part. Look at this. Look at that. It's almost like a reed when you get down to the very center parts. It's an excellent shape for garnishes. It's an excellent shape to put together and slice to make itty-bitty pieces for salads. So anyway, yeah, don't let this intimidate you. Now it's time to wash it. This is an older style sink, so excuse the look of it on the video. Each one of these, I just make sure I get all of that dirt off under the water. Place it on a plate. I then separate my leek leaves according to size. The large ones that I'll use for soup, which is today. The center ones, which I use for soup also and to garnish, I cut them on, you'll see. And then, of course, the garnishes, I just leave these the way they look already. Sometimes I'll cut the tops at an angle at the top here and place it around the plate just for decoration, and it is edible, of course. Okay, so now I'm going to use my large knife, and I'm going to cut away any of the pieces that I don't want in my soup, and I'm going to throw those away. Don't need those, but you can use this piece. That's still a good piece. Throw that away. This one's got a lot of ugly marks. You probably could still use it, but it's not presentable. I don't like to use it, so we'll just discard that part. And then the rest of this, I actually will cut on an angle because I like the look of it in my soup on an angle. The texture when I'm eating it after it's cooked is excellent, just like a celery, a stick of celery, because of the grains that are in it. So I'm going about approximately 1/4 of an inch in thickness. And once again on an angle, using a serrated knife. You can use any knife you'd like, whatever you feel comfortable. Be careful you don't cut your finger there. Keep your board clean, of course, and then see. So you have these like little eyelets, green, white, and light green that just, yeah, it looks good in the soup. I like it. For this soup, we'll be using a bouillon cube or a powder. And bouillon cubes and bouillon powders are an excellent thing to keep on hand in your cupboards because of the fact that it is versatile for making soups, and it keeps for a while. These are my lentils. I like to keep them in a jar. And if you have one of those devices that actually take out the air from your jar, that is actually most excellent to have and to use. Because once the air is removed from the actual jar and from the areas where the lentils are or whatever else you have in the jar, nothing can grow in there because there's no air. So even bacteria have to have air to grow, and so your food preserves a lot longer in an air-sealed container or plastic bag if you have that particular device, which I do. And I use flour in some of my sealed bags. And so we add 5 cups of water. This is pre-measured. And we bring it to a boil on high heat. I also add the bouillon. This one is a powder. And the bouillon cube, when you break it down in a mortar and pestle, is approximately 1½ teaspoons. So I'm going to use 2 of these. This is beef. You can use chicken if you'd like. So I'm using 2 half teaspoons, which of course you know equals 1 teaspoon. Just before boiling point or right at boiling point, I add the leek. At boiling point, I add the oregano, the dash of oregano, just so that the flavor will exude itself into the lentils. And as you can see, this is a nice little spoon. It says here, let's put it down. It's a dash. It's a dash. And now we can add the lentils like a mini miracle. We'll check it again in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Time to check on it. Okay, so now I leave it boiling and I stir it, and the way I check on it is I check the lentils because I know that everything else is pretty much at temperature and has been for 10 minutes, so it's pretty much cooked. I want the lentils to be al dente or a little bit better than al dente, so I just take one lentil and I try it. And it's not al dente, so I need to leave it in there for another 10 minutes. So I'll put the lid back on and I'll set the timer for another 10 minutes. And then once that is done, I'll check it again. And if the lentil is still tough at that time, I'll just go for another 10 minutes. So increments of 10 minutes until it's done. Okay, so now they're done. It's been approximately 35 to 40 minutes. And I just ladle it out and put it into the bowl. And it just smells so good. So good. And I know that the taste is going to be just as good as it smells. Hot and very flavorful. So good.
The leek is a carcinogen, therefore it is considered a hot plant.